Season 1 Mimosa is the best healer in Black Clover Mobile, but how do you actually make her the best healer? So let's start off with the most important thing that can help make all of your characters stronger, but for Mimosa especially. So let's start off with one of the most important things, being the gears. And the first gear set you're going to want on your Mimosa is going to be the Ominous gear set. As this might sound confusing at first because she's a healer, but in actual fact, her healing actually scales off of her own magic attacks, so you're going to want some pretty decently high magic attack stats so you can actually heal as much as you possibly can. So you're going to want that on a 2 set piece bonus as well. And then from then on, it really doesn't matter too much what you go for, but what I'd recommend is Secret of the Deep Sea, as this gear set will be fantastic for your PvP teams that include Mimosa. The extra 5% speed buff is going to be really helpful as well. And then you will also want this gear set on a 2 set bonus as well. And then the final gear set that I'd recommend is going to be either one of two, which is going to be the Great Merchant's Collection, as the 30% defense increase is going to help with your survivability, or for whatever reason, if you don't have many of those, but you have many of this gear set, being the Ice Mansion's Remains, which is going to give you a 7% max HP increase. This one is also good as well because it'll help you survive even longer. And then just like every other pretty much gear set that you have on any character in this game, you're going to want the 2 set bonus for either of these as well. And then for the main stats they're going to want for all of these gear sets are going to be magic attack, and then the sub stats you're going to want are going to be magic attack as well. And then other things like defensive stats will be great, like defense, HP are also completely fine as well. And then anything else that can help you survive. So one of the second most important things is going to be her talents. So let's start off with the attack talents. And for this one, all you're going to want pretty much is the magic attack increase. That's pretty much all you ever need, as the other ones that you can pair this with are the Battle of Frenzy, which gives you crit rate, and then also Ferocity, which gives you more damage to bosses. So it really doesn't matter too much which one of these you put. You could go for the crit rate one as well, just so she has more damage in general, I guess. It doesn't really matter what you go for, but just make sure you have the increased magic attack. Then for defense talents, we're going to want the increased defense buff, and then also endurance to give us more defense increases, and also crit resistance as well. And then for the support talents, you're going to want the swiftness buff, as this will give you SP, and then you'll also want pretty much any of the damage resistance ones or the increased HP recovery. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. You could go for the HP recovery one because she's going to be healing, so I guess that's pretty useful, so she'll heal herself for more. So yeah, but it doesn't really matter which other one you go for, just make sure you go for swiftness. So the next up we have skill pages. What are her best skill pages? So obviously an elegant beginning is going to be her best in slot one, as it upgrades her skill, and also the passive skill is also very good and works with her skill 2 very nicely as well, as you can have a 20% chance to grant all allies remove 1 debuff upon using your skill 2, which can be really handy. And then the best thing about this skill is that instead of her skill granting an extend buff duration by 1 turn, it's going to be a 2-turn buff, extended buff duration as well, which is going to be great. Then I'd also recommend the SR Mimosa skill page, as the passive is actually really useful, as it pretty much gives you some nice guaranteed value, as it's going to give you a 10% increased magic attack buff for 1 turn whenever you use your skill 2, meaning you'll be able to heal more and do a little bit more damage as well. And then this can be increased all the way up to 18%, which is a decent magic attack buff considering it's for free. Then let's say one of her other best ones is going to be Crimson She-Leopard, as this is going to be for Teresa, and what's good about this is it just gives you some flat HP recovery, so you're just going to be healing for more, which is always useful. And this can be increased all the way up to 15% HP recovery. And then the final skill page you're going to want is going to be Meat Enthusiast, as this is going to give you a 7% max HP increase. So if you go ahead and use the max HP gear set with this, then you're going to be able to have that scale pretty nicely and have some pretty decent tanky stats with your HP anyways. And then this can be increased all the way to a 15% max HP bonus, which can allow your Mimosa to survive quite a lot, to be fair. So then what exactly are going to be her best team comps? Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I'll say it straight up. Mimosa is such a versatile unit and such a versatile healer that she can literally be thrown into any team, as if you've watched my previous 2 videos on Yami and Asta, you'd know that she can pretty much fit into any of those teams, and she works very well with those characters. So I won't give specific team compositions because she can be thrown into literally every team, but what I will say is if you've got certain squishy characters and stuff like that, then I'd recommend putting her in those teams where you might have some pretty squishy characters and squishy DPSs. Like pretty much just like any DPS that you have in the game is going to be pretty squishy, so I'd recommend you put her in those teams. Or especially you're going to want to put her into physical attacking teams, like with your red Yamis, your blue Yamis, your red Astas, etc. And this is just down to the fact that she can revive people, which I'll get into in a little bit. So speaking of revive, which is a part of her kit, and let's start off with her skill 1, which is going to be called Plant Energy, and it's a single target damage dealing skill with 65% of her attack and magic attack as damage. and then what this will do will grant the ally with the lowest HP recovery equal to 120% of her own magic attack, which is why I said before in the gear section, you're going to want to build her with a bunch of magic attack. And then she also has a 45% chance to grant a special point +1 buff to an ally whose HP has then been recovered as well. Then moving on to a skill 2, which is Flower Garden. This is basically just going to be an AoE heal on a skill 2 instead of just a regular damage dealing skill that heals one person. But this won't do any damage. This will just heal your entire team for 120% of her own magic attack. And then she will grant an extend buff duration by 1 turn, and then this can be increased to 2 turns as we saw with her skill page to a designated ally as well. So make sure you choose that correctly. And then she then grants all allies an increased damage resistance buff of level 2, which is going to be a 25% damage resistance increase. And then onto our ultimate, Dream of Recovery. This is basically just another AoE heal, which is going to grant allies HP recovery equal to 180% of her own magic attack, and then will then also grant an increased defense buff of level 2 for 2 turns as well, which is fantastic. All of that is nowhere near the best part of this ultimate, as this ultimate has resurrection. So basically, whenever one of your allies is downed or died, etc., you'll be able to resurrect them with your ultimate and then have them have their HP restored equal up to 30% of their HP, of their max HP anyways, that is, which is just honestly fantastic and is the best thing about this this character. As you might understand if you've played her against her in arena, she has this kind of inbuilt taunt because of the resurrection, because if you go ahead and one-shot any character in arena, she's just going to revive them, and then all of that work you've done has just been reset back to 0. And then this can then be increased all the way to 50% of an ally's max HP when you resurrect an ally due to her unique passive as well. So I also just wanted to touch on her combined attack, as it's really, really helpful, and this is why I said before that you're going to want to run her with actual physical attackers, as if you're in a scenario where you don't necessarily need to use her ultimate, then you can go ahead and use her combined attack as well instead, as this combined attack will grant the partnered mage an increased attack buff of level 5, which is, I believe, the highest it can go, which is going to be an increased attack by 100%, which is going to go ahead and double your ally's attack stat, which is insane. So the final thing I wanted to cover is something that I didn't cover in my last 2 guides for characters, which is going to be your skill level priorities, as a lot of skills and stuff with characters in Black Clover Mobile are going to have a lot of different changes when they get leveled up. So which one of these should you actually prioritize? Well, fortunately for yourselves and myself, Mimosa skills are very self-explanatory in terms of what they do when you level them up, as basically for her skill 1, her skill 2, and her special skill, all the increases is just in HP recovery, which is just great. So honestly, it doesn't really matter which one of these you level up, because as long as you feel like you have enough healing, then you don't really need to level them up too much. But I would go ahead and recommend leveling up the skill 2, as this is going to be the skill that you're going to be using probably the most out of everything else. So I'd say that this is probably the one you want to prioritize the most. And then also, if you are actually using her with a physical attacker and not a magic attacker, I definitely recommend the combined attack, because it's such a good combined attack. It's really, really good. It's got so much value in increasing your special points for your whole team. It's just fantastic. And then after that, you can then do a special skill and then her skill 1 if you would like, because I mean the rest doesn't really matter too much. So there you have it. That is my guide on the season 1 Mimosa. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and because it helps out a ton and it's free. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.